Top story, retired Judge Robert Nugent has announced that the Commission of Inquiry into SARS can continue. This comes after, of course, Tom Moyane's attempts to halt the inquiry into his tenure at the revenue collector that was heard last week. Let's talk now to reporter Heidi Giokos, who was at that announcement by Justice Robert Nugent. So there were five rulings and relief that Tom Moyane was looking for: a halt or a suspension of the hearings, an undertaking that, the matters that are being raised in his disciplinary case will not be raised here, etc., etc., but none of them succeeded. In fact, he came out worse off on the other end of the judge's decision.
That's exactly it. So Judge Nugent today, he was not having it at all. He came out, he read his ruling and he left. He didn't even interact with anybody, basically calling the submissions abusive, a disgrace, very strong words coming out, because Dalian Pofu essentially was trying to get this this Commission of Inquiry completely halted and stopped. And because the main reason behind this was because they were saying that there are two cases, if I can put it that way, against Tom Moyane. And the judge making it very clear that actually this Commission of Inquiry has nothing to do with Tom Moyane. It's not focused on him. This specific Commission of Inquiry is a broader one to try and find out what went wrong at the Revenue Service. We must remember that this Commission of Inquiry was established by President Cyril Ramaphosa to try and understand what went wrong at the Revenue Service, why so many skilled employees left SARS, especially under the term of Tom Moyane. Yes, he was the boss, so obviously his name is going to be mentioned throughout the testimonies, and also why there was such a massive revenue shortfall. So the judge coming out and not having it at all, completely dismissing all submissions and saying, in actual fact, if you have a problem, go to the president because he commissioned this inquiry.
Yeah, in fact, Heidi, one of the submissions that were rejected had to do with one of the panelists in the commission, Professor Michael Katz. The Moyane's legal team were asking that he should recuse himself because he is President Cyril Ramaphosa's personal and business lawyer. That didn't succeed either.
Not at all. I mean, initially on Friday, when we saw Tom Moyane arriving with his legal team, already then the judge was saying, I don't understand how this has anything to do with me, because I've been commissioned by the president to make sure that I succeed with all these terms of reference and make sure that I deliver on them. So basically what Tom Moyane was wanting is to get Professor Michael Katz off the panel. And we must remember that the panelists next to Judge Nugent are advisors to this commission. So they have sort of level of expertise that they're bringing to this commission. But the issue around Professor Katz is basically because he is the president's personal lawyer or business lawyer, and there's some sort of relationship between the two, and therefore Tom Moyane feels as though there's a conflict of interest between Professor Katz being on this panel. Whereas the judge coming out and saying, actually, I don't understand why there's a conflict of interest. So what if he is the president's lawyer? So what if he goes to his house and visits and has dinner? How does this affect the terms of reference in this specific Commission of Inquiry?
Heidi, you and I are journalists. We love intrigue. What about this memory stick that I saw it being handed out, and I was just sitting there, the journalist in me saying, please share it, please share it. We want to get to the bottom of this question of whether or not there was a rogue unit that was operating at SARS. What did the judge say about that?
So I was very close to walking up and taking that memory stick, because apparently it's got the first phase of evidence with regards to the rogue unit. Now you must remember the rogue unit is this alleged special unit that is also one of the reasons why Tom Moyane suspended his EXCO team in 2015. So we believe that this memory stick has a lot of information about the rogue unit, the first phase apparently between certain people having a conversation, actually proving that there was a rogue unit. But the judge saying that, don't insult me, I don't want this thing, I'm not interested in this thing. If it's some sort of evidence, give it to me and I will decide whether that's evidence for this Commission of Inquiry or not. But basically dismissing it and saying that, don't insult me, I don't want this.
What has Tom Moyane's legal team been saying? Because I imagine that they'll be pondering their next move between now and August, when the commission is set to resume with its work.
So when the judge gave his his submissions today, his final ruling, we saw Tom Moyane's lawyer, Eric Mabuza, saying we expected this, but we had to exercise this process and we had to exhaust this process completely before we moved to the president. So they are going to send a letter to the president in the next 24 hours, giving their submissions, probably the same submissions that they gave to Judge Nugent, trying to completely halt and stop this process. And, we asked the question of what happens if the president doesn't listen to you or, gives you the same sort of response that the judge did. They are planning to go to court to review these proceedings, but they believe it's a personal attack on Tom Moyane. They basically believe that, this is a vendetta and this process is unlawful. Those were the words that they actually used. And the judge coming out and saying that, I don't understand how this is unlawful, because Tom Moyane was sitting at home watching TV from the 26th of July until the Friday when he arrived. When I sent him an invitation on the 20th of June, on the 20th of July, asking him to come. So, the judge really not having it. And Tom Moyane's legal team basically saying we will exhaust all processes and try and figure out how we're going to stop this. So I think the fight has only just begun.
Yeah, so the next step is a letter between the president and between Tom Moyane's team and the president. And we can only imagine the wording of that letter, because, we have a history and a track record of letters between the president and Tom Moyane. Always heated.
Always heated. So, we're all trying to get our hands on that letter, but they did say they'll probably have it submitted by tomorrow, so we'll have to see what words are exchanged there. But basically, personal attack, vendetta, unlawful.
Heidi Jokos, thank you so much for coming through. That's ENCA's Heidi Jokos, giving us a wrap-up of the Judge Robert Nugent's decisions around the SARS Commission of Inquiry that is underway, that has been going on in the last few days.